What's going on, everybody? It's Cooper from the Back Pins, and today we are here with the Kansas City Outlaws team preview. We've gotten a chance to see a preseason event. It happened in Bismarck, North Dakota over the weekend. I got a chance to take it in yesterday when I got home, and it was interesting. There's some things that stood out to me and some things that they can probably do better, but that's kind of how it is with everything when you first try it. So it was good to see the teams in action, and the Kansas City Outlaws ended up walking away with the event title. Now it is preseason. That event does not count for anything down the road, but there is still money up for grabs. The King of the North Tour, all that. There was definitely reasons why guys were motivated to show up there and win. When you start at the top, who they're led by, JW Hart, this is a team I kind of expected before the draft, just thinking about personalities with the coaches, that he's going to look for gritty, tough guys. If you're a guy that not really interested in riding bulls that go away from your hand, this isn't the team for you. JW is very straightforward. He's kind of a hard ass, so to speak, but they showed up to Bismarck. They got the job done. Before we get into the rest of this video, though, like, subscribe, comment, leave any comments down below, subscribe, likes. It all helps the channel, guys. So not asking for much, just don't be afraid to interact once in a while. But we'll quit messing around. Let's grab them slides. Let's talk the Kansas City Outlaws. To kick things off, like I mentioned in the intro, the Kansas City Outlaws are led by JW Hart, the Iron Man legend of the game. The guy just didn't sit out very much. He was a really tough guy in his riding days and still is. So you know that those are some of the qualities that he's looking for from guys on his roster. And let's take a look at the draft picks that he selected. At 4 overall, Dalton Kasel in the first round. At 13 overall, Kyler Oliver. 20 overall, Rafael Del Santos. At 29th overall, Bob Mitchell. And at 36th overall, Tate Pullmeyer. Now, these are their current free agent signings. If I read correctly, they already did drop somebody and replaced him with another rider, but these are the free agent signings as of the recording of this video. Dustin Martinez, Marcus Mast, Cole Melancon. That is a steal of a free agent signing, in my opinion. Sam Woodall, Clancy Hart, and Colton Doherty. But let's kick things off with their first round selection. At 4 overall, JW Hart and the Outlaws took Dalton Kasel. Dalton's a left-handed bull rider, placed 6th in the world in 2022, had a 40% riding percentage last year. In his top rides of the 2022 season, he eclipsed 92 points on Moonlight Party and Mr. Excavator. So he did it twice. Dalton is as old school as it gets. This guy is dirty, rotten, tough, old school cowboy. If you'd have put him back in the 80s and 90s, he'd have fit right in. He is not going to back down from any kind of bull. It doesn't matter if it's the big, scary one, Godzilla, Bigfoot. It doesn't matter. He's willing to put his rope on him and try him. So if you look back at my mock draft video that I threw together before the PBR draft, I had predicted this pick as well, strictly based on that. Now, some people will say, well, Dalton kind of jumped up some places at the World Finals. He had a pretty decent World Finals and kind of shot up there a little bit. This guy's really talented. It's not just the fact that he's tough, old school cowboy. He can ride any kind of bull. And when he does get tapped off going into his hand, it looks really good. He's a really showy guy. He's kind of a little bit lankier too. He's kind of almost built like JB Mooney. He's a little bit taller, but just really, really thin. And it looks really good when Dalton gets tapped off on one. You pair that up with the personality that this guy has, and he showed it in Bismarck. When it came down to it to pick the bonus rider in the bonus round, it didn't take him long, and it was Dalton Kasel. JW Hart's going to lean on this guy, and Dalton left Bismarck being the MVP, which had some monetary benefits to it and some prize packages, all that. When it comes down to it, JW Hart picked this guy to man the ship because he is exactly what JW is looking for in a bull rider. He's going to get out on bulls that are not so great in the chute. He's not going to complain about getting on the bad ones that nobody wants. I'm not surprised that JW walked away from this draft with Dalton, and I think Dalton's really happy to be on the Kansas City Outlaws. With the Outlaws' second round pick at 13 overall, they went with Kyler Oliver. He's a left-handed bull rider. placed 10th in the world in 2022, had a 45% riding percentage last year, and his top ride was 91 and a quarter on Chiseled. There's a lot I can say about this guy, but the stat that I want to talk about is this guy placed 10th in the world and basically didn't ride the whole last month of the season or at the World Finals. Kyler Oliver is a rank bull rider. He had a broken neck last year, so I'm not sure what his health status is or how much he's going to miss. But if he can ride at half the events, this is an absolute steal. This guy's a first round talent. If he had not broken his neck, I can almost assure you he would have been a first round pick. He can ride him going into his hand, away from his hand, and he can ride bulls that don't tend to fit a lot of guys either. You want to talk about try, guts, the old school cowboy mentality. This is another Dalton Kasel type guy. He is not going to back down from any kind of bull you run underneath him. And in my opinion, he fits exactly what JW Hart wants. Like I said, the neck thing's a little concerning, but he's a young guy. He'll bounce back from it. So even if you only get half a year out of him this year, I'm locking this guy down to a long-term contract. This is a guy, if I was a general manager, I'd want to build my squad around. I absolutely love what the Outlaws did with their first two picks. With their third round selection at 20 overall, the Outlaws went with Rafael Del Santos. He's a right-handed bull rider, placed 27th in the world in 2022, had a 33% riding percentage, and his top ride from last year was 91 and a half on Diddy Wah Diddy. And if you know anything about Diddy Wah Diddy, he is rider friendly, but it's mainly to left-handed bull riders. And this guy rode him away from his hand. So he has shown that he can ride rank bulls that go away from his hand, which is advantageous in this kind of setting. But obviously, he's going to be a little stronger into his hand. Typical Brazilian. This guy is not going to buck off many into his hand. You put him on one that goes to the right, and I like his chances. Just a solid pick here. He's been around for a little bit. He's not a total newbie to the PBR scene. You know, this is a guy you don't hear a lot about in the media, but I know he's tough and he's going to try every time the chute gate opens. And as a coach, that's really all you can ask for. You know, all these guys are really good. The gap of the talent at this level is very small. So what it comes down to is where a guy's head's at. And I want guys that aren't playing the head game with themselves, because that's the easiest way to beat yourself in this sport. I really didn't mind this pick in the third round. And I actually think it's a little bit sneaky. I don't think Rafael was on a lot of people's radar going into the draft, but he's shown me he can ride bulls that go away from his hand. And you know he's going to ride a bunch of them that go into his hand. I think this is a really solid third round pick for the Kansas City Outlaws. But let's take a break from this video for a couple seconds here, and let's talk about Rank Rad Fantasy. If you like the team series and the draft portion of the team series, you're going to love Rank Rad Fantasy. You get to put your general manager cap on and create your own team every week. Week in, week out, you can pick whoever you want as long as it's within the guidelines, the rules of the game. So if you want to take Jose Vitor Leme, have at her. You can have him any week. If you want to take a guy like Cooper Davis, Connor Halverson, you can take whoever you want. It's a fun way to engage yourself in the bull riding that weekend. I've played every week in 2022 for the individual season, and man, it's a blast. It makes it so much more fun when you have a guy you need to do well or a bull you need to do well, and vice versa. If a guy you don't have on your team does really well, it just makes it for more exciting. Play with your buddies, get a little group going, some side betting going on there, you know, bragging rights. That's why people like to compete, is they like to say, well, I'm better than you. I beat you at that or on that day. It's a great time. I can promise you, you will not be disappointed. You can find them at www.rankradfantasy.com. And I will link their social medias in the description below and at the end of this video. But let's get back to it. With their fourth round selection at 29 overall, the Kansas City Outlaws went out and selected the 19-year-old with a better mustache than I'll ever have in my life, Bob Mitchell. He's a left-handed bull rider, was the 2022 PBR Rookie of the Year, placed 21st in the world, rode 41% of his bulls last year, and his top ride from last year was 90 and a quarter on Top Shelf from the Page family. This is a guy, when he hit the scene, I really liked. I started gravitating towards him for a couple different reasons. Number one, this guy's gritty, and that's going to be a theme you're going to see with this team. JW might not have the most talented team on paper, but I can guarantee you when these guys crawl down in the buck and shoot, If they're looking off bulls, they will not stay on this roster long. That's just how JW is. So when you look at Bob, he has that quality. Number two, he can ride different types of bulls. He can go away from his hand. He can go into his hand. He's not a one-trick pony. He's young, tough. I mean, this guy's taken some beatings over the year, and he kept coming back and showing that effort every time the gate opened. I think this guy has a lot of room for growth. And you put him with a guy like JW Hart, just from the outside looking in, I think their personalities match up. And I think this could be a really good move for Bob Mitchell's career moving forward. And I just think when you're looking at fourth, fifth round picks, I'm looking for upside. I may not be using these guys week in, week out, and you're going to say, well, then why would you draft him? Because this is a long-term play. This is not a one season series. These guys are eventually going to get locked into long-term contracts. So if that's the case, give me youth, upside, and I'm going to bet that I can pull the best out of this guy. And I think that's what JW Hart's planning on doing. I really like this fourth round pick for the Kansas City Outlaws. With their fifth round pick at 36th overall, the Kansas City Outlaws selected Tate Pullmeyer. He's a right-handed bull rider. He's 18 years old, so he didn't have any 2022 PBR stats, but this guy is a two-time Kansas high school champ, and he won the 2021 International Finals Youth Rodeo, which is probably the most prestigious youth rodeo anybody can go to. I would argue that it's more competitive than the high school finals. The best of the best go there. There's big-time money for that level of rodeo. It's a really big thing every summer in Shawnee, Oklahoma. And his family also raises bulls. So the guy's been around the game for a while, even though he's 18. And this is another one of those upside picks. JW Hart wouldn't have wasted a draft pick on this guy if he didn't think he could polish him up and make him into a superstar. I'm going to assume that he's got a lot of the traits that we've talked about already that JW is looking for in a bull rider, or else he wouldn't have picked him. And he dang sure wouldn't have used a draft pick on him. Like I mentioned just a minute ago, I'm perfectly fine with chasing upside with these picks because you know there's going to be reliable guys in the free agent pool. At this point in the draft, you've seen who's been drafted. So you know if they haven't been drafted, there's only 4 picks after you. So is Tate going to be an everyday starter right off the bat? I don't know. But if you want to lock these guys down, I would use a draft pick on them if I feel like I can get the best out of them and turn them into something great. And I think that's what JW Hart did with this pick. And I do not blame him at all. If you believe in a guy, go get your guy. That's the biggest thing in a draft is you got to get guys you believe in. So obviously JW Hart and the rest of the Outlaws organization believes in this young guy. And I'm excited to see what Tate Pullmeyer does come the 2022 PBR team season. And these are their current free agent signings. Like I've mentioned, they already dropped somebody and added a new rider. So if you are not meeting their standards or showing the characteristics that they're looking for, they will drop you. JW Hart is not here to make friends. Obviously, he wants to be tight with his team, but at the end of the day, winning is what matters to this guy. When you're talking about putting him in a competition against some of his best friends, Ross Coleman, Justin McBride, winning is everything. And that's how it is with all these teams. But JW Hart is one of those guys, like competing is his thing. He doesn't like losing if you're playing rock, paper, scissors. So imagine what it's like for this team bull riding. He's going to do whatever it takes. And if that means hurting somebody's feelings, he's not going to be afraid to do it. But this list of free agents as of now is Dustin Martinez. He's a left-handed bull rider, placed 71st in the world in 2022. Made a really big ride at the Velocity Finals. He went over 90 at the Velocity Finals. So he's a guy that's shown some flashes of big time potential. Marcus Mast, left-handed bull rider. He finished 131st in the world in 2022. Marcus is a guy we've seen on the UTB tour, and nothing against Marcus, but he's not the flashiest. He's probably not the most talented guy out there, but back to the theme of gritty, tough, old school cowboy. This guy's it. He ain't going to quit till his head hits the ground. Marcus is known for his effort. He's big time effort, and that's what JW Hart wants on his team. Cole Melancon, he's a right-handed bull rider, finished 43rd in the world in 2022. This is a steal of a free agent signing, in my opinion. Cole got hurt early in 2022, sat out basically all of the individual season. He only went to a handful of events. It wasn't very many. This guy is an absolute steal. This is one of the best signings I've seen, I think, in my opinion. because if Cole was healthy, he would have been a draft pick. There's no doubt about it. This guy's talented, been to the NFR, been to the PBR finals, and you're getting him on the free agent market. Sign me up all day long and twice on Sunday. Sam Woodall, he's a right-handed bull rider, finished 51st in the world in 2022. Younger guy, he did make the UTB tour for a period of time this last year. The ride that sticks out to me is this guy went 92 points in Albuquerque at the Ty Murray Invitational. So he's shown he can rise to the occasion and make it happen at the biggest stages of bull riding. Just needs some fine tuning to figure out the consistency with Woodall. Clancy Hart, he's a right-handed bull rider, didn't have any PBR stats in 2022, but I do know from digging around on the internet, he is the son of Cody Hart. And if you know anything about JW and Cody, that would make him JW Hart's nephew. And their last free agent signing, Colton Doherty, is a right-handed bull rider, didn't have any PBR stats in 2022. I think they threw together a solid list of free agent signings. You look at Marcus Mass, Cole Melancon, those guys are ready to get plugged in right away. They've been to the big stage. They've seen what it is. They know what it is, and they've succeeded at that level. So when you're talking about bench guys with that kind of experience, I really think the Outlaws threw together a pretty good squad, and I'm not surprised that they went into Bismarck and took care of business, and I think they're going to be one of the better teams once the regular season kicks off. But I think that'll about wrap it up for today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it. Tell us what you guys want to see. We want to make content that you guys want to see. So give us some feedback in the comments. Tell us what you think about the Outlaws roster. Like the video, subscribe. Anything helps. Like I mentioned at the top of the video, anything helps our channel grow. We appreciate you guys. If you're wanting to know more about another team, this is the 4th preview of 8 that we're going to do. So if you want to know more about Austin, Nashville, or Texas, go to the playlist that this video will be in, and you will find those on our channel from the back pens as well. And as the regular season for this team series approaches, keep Rad Fantasy in mind. I will link their social medias at the end of this video along with ours. But until next time, you guys have a great one and come back and visit us again from the back pens.